सदाशिवसमारम्भाम् शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्ताम् वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। हरिः ओम् श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ओम्। सत्त्वं रजस्तम इति गुणाः प्रकृतिसम्भवाः निबध्नन्ति महाबाहो देहे देहिनमव्ययम्। तत्र सत्त्वं निर्मलत्वात् प्रकाशमनामयम् सुखसङ्घेन बध्नाति ज्ञानसङ्घेन चानघ। रजो रागात्मकं विद्धि तृष्णासङ्गसमुद्भवम् तन्निबध्नाति कौन्तेय कर्मसङ्गेन देहिनम्। तमस्त्वज्ञानजं विद्धि मोहनं सर्वदेहिनाम् प्रमादालस्य निद्राभिः तन्निबध्नाति भारत। We are in chapter 14. We have completed up to 4th sloka. Now we will take up Gunatraya Visleshana. The whole chapter talks about Gunatrayam, and finally it pronounces that Sakshi Tattvam or Atma Tattvam is beyond three gunas, Gunatitaha. So, in order to define Gunatitam, we should know what are the three gunas. And then we have to understand Chaitanya Tattvam or Sakshi Tattvam or Atma Tattvam is beyond all the three gunas. So, Paramatma Sri Krishna, he is describing Sattva, Rajas, Tamo gunas in a very detailed way. In this particular chapter, he describes these gunas, these attributes, in 5 different topics. The topics are Lakshanam, Prakaraha, Lingam, Gati, Phalam. We'll cover topic by topic. Lakshanam means Nirvachanam. Jnana Pradhanam. Sattvagunam is Jnana Pradhanam. Those who have Sattvagunam, they have a lot of interest in knowledge. Whatever they have learned, they are not happy. They want to learn more and more. They want to become Sarvajna. So for such person who is predominantly Sattva Guna, his Jnanendriyas, his sense organs are very active. So he is predominantly for learning. Then the second category of people are Karma Pradhanam. They are Rajoguna Pradhanam. Rajogunam will lead to more action, more karma. So this person is different from the Sattvaguna Pradhana personality. A person who is having Sattvagunam predominantly, he is more into learning. Whereas a person who is more Rajoguna Pradhana, he is more into action. His organs of action are more active than sensory organs. He cannot concentrate. He cannot sit for some time quietly. He will either shake his legs or gets disturbed. He cannot concentrate, unlike Sattvaguna Pradhana personality. So he loves to do more action, more work. He loves to do more work. He is Karma Pradhana. Then Tamoguna Pradhanam. The persons who are predominantly Tamoguna, they are totally different from Sattvagunam and Rajogunam. These people, they are not active either by Jnanendriya or by Karmendriya. They are very lazy and lethargic. They don't prefer to do any action. They don't prefer to learn. They lead their life lazily. This is what we call Tamoguna Pradhanam. lingam. So, whatever is predominant in a particular person, whatever be the attribute which is predominant in a particular person, that is called lingam. For a person who is more into learning, he is more inwards. Because for learning, you should have subtler faculties. You have to have your mind open to learning. You should have analysis. You should have thinking power. You should have the logical base. So they have very sharp mind. So such a person, he will not be outward. He is more into inward travel. That is antarmukhatvam. So this is the lingam for a person who wants to learn. This is the lakshana. Sattvaguna pradhanam is the lingam for a person who wants to learn. Then karma vruddhi. Karma is more for a rajoguna pradhana person. He cannot be antarmukha. He is more into outward work. He loves to do work and he loves to move around, and he doesn't prefer to sit in one place and learn something. So he's more outwards. He cannot tolerate silence. He wants the TV at a highest pitch. He cannot sit idle. He takes his phone and chats with someone. So this is the karma guna pradhana personality. This is the lingam for him. Lingam is rajoguna pradhanam. Rajogunam is the lingam. Then pramada vritti. A person who is predominantly tamogunam, who has a person who has tamoguna as a dominant feature, he is neither in pravrutti marga nor in nivrutti marga. He will not do anything. He is idle. He doesn't have any ambition or zeal to do something or to learn something. Then the third topic, we have covered two topics, nirvachanam, that is lakshanam. Then the second topic is lingam. For jnana vriddhi, one should have sattvagunam. For karma vriddhi, one should have rajogunam. For pramada vriddhi, one should have the tamogunam. Bandhana prakaraha means attachment, bonding. So we should know which particular attribute is binding us. Jnana sangam. A person who is predominantly sattva guna, he wants to be very quiet and he loves peace and quiet atmosphere. Because he wants to learn, he wants to have the jnana samuparjana. For him, he requires a quiet attitude. He requires a quiet ambience. So he cannot tolerate sounds. So he wants to sit in a quiet place and meditate or learn. So this is how he would like to do. He is more attached to jnana. Jnana sangam is there for this person. Then karma sangam. Karma sangam means a person who is rajasic in nature, predominantly rajasic. He is totally different from the person who is having sattvaguna pradhanam. He cannot tolerate silence. He cannot enjoy the quietude. He wants to dance. He wants to go around and meet people and do a lot of hangama. So he is more into work and work and work. So this is the Sangatvam. He is more bonded towards outwardly nature. Robert Frost, he talks about the leisure. The woods are dark, deep and lovely, but I have promises to keep and miles to go before I sleep, and miles to go before I sleep. So, he wants to enjoy the beauty of the nature, but his Rajasic nature reminds him of the work. So he wants to be immersed in work rather than enjoying the nature. So such persons are called workaholics. So he cannot enjoy even the landscape, even the nature, because always the work will, nag him. He wants to be always in work. He always wants to do something and move outside for more work, not for leisure, for more work. Pramada Sangam. A person who is tamasic in nature, he's quite different from the Sattvaguna Pradhana and Rajoguna Pradhana personality. He cannot do anything. He will simply waste his Manava Janma. So, such a negligent attitude, such a lazy attitude is called Pramada Sangam. He is more binded by Tamasika Pravrutti, the lazy nature, the inert nature. The fourth aspect is Gatihi. Gatihi means the loka where these people go after death. Sattvaguna Pradhana persons are entitled for Urdhva Lokas. They are entitled for higher realms of heaven. Rajoguna Pradhana personalities will be born on earth. Madhyama Gati it is called. First one is Urdhva Gati, second one is Madhyama Gati. Rajoguna Pradhana personalities will take birth on earth. Tamasic personalities will take birth in Adhogati, will take birth in the lower lokas, that is Atala, Vitala, Rasatala, Mahatala, Talatala, Patala lokas. Then the fifth and final topic is Phalam. Phalam means while living, while alive and kicking, what is the fate of these people? Gati is after death, Phalam is while they are living. A Sattvaguna Pradhana personality will earn punyam and he will learn lot of knowledge. He will enjoy the knowledge. Rajoguna Pradhana person will be in pain and misery, and he is very greedy. Tamoguna Pradhana person will be in ignorance and he is in delusion. For Sattvaguna Pradhana person, the Jnanendriyas are very sharp, so he earns lot of knowledge. So he will not be lured like Rajoguna Pradhana person or Tamoguna Pradhana person. But all said and done, you should know all three gunas will bind a person. A Sattvaguna Pradhana person will be binded by knowledge. A Rajoguna Pradhana person will be binded by work. Tamoguna Pradhana person will be binded by laziness. Everything is shackle. Sattva-guna is a golden shackle. Rajoguna and Tamoguna are iron shackles. So, the gunas are good. You have to grow from Tamoguna to Rajoguna, from Rajoguna to Sattva-guna, and thereafter you have to shake off the gunas and become gunatita. That is the idea. Often our Guruji gives a pole vaulter example. A pole vaulter, he takes a long sticks and jumps over. If he doesn't take a stick, he cannot jump to that height. So, invariably he has to take a stick. Supposing after reaching to that height, if he doesn't leave the stick, he cannot jump to the other side. So, after he attains the required height, he has to leave the stick and he has to jump to the other side. So, he has to take the stick and leave it in an appropriate time. In the same way, these gunas are required, and we have to leave them when you acquire the knowledge. That too, Atma Jnanam. When you acquire the knowledge, that is Atma Jnanam, you have to leave the stick. You have to leave the gunas. That is what we have to understand. So, with this we have completed Traigunya Visleshana. Now we will go to Slokas proper. Sloka number 5. Sattvam rajastamayiti guna prakriti sambhava nibadnanti mahabaho dehe dehinam avyayam. He Mahabaho, O Arjuna, Sattvam. Sattva means Sattva guna. Rajaha, Rajoguna. Tamaha iti, Tamoguna. Prakriti sambhava, they are born out of Prakriti. Gunaha, these three gunas, that is Sattva, Rajas, Tamo gunas, Avyayam, Dehinam, Dehe Nibadnanti. So, the person who is Anadi and who will not have death, that means the Sakshi Chaitanyam, Jivatma, when he is in the body, they bind him. These gunas bind him when the Dehi is in the body. When Jivatma is in the body, the Jivatma is bounded by these three gunas. He Mahabaho, Sattvam Rajaha Tamaha iti gunaha prakriti sambhavaha santi te dehe avyayam dehinam nibadnanti. O Arjuna, Sattva-guna, Rajoguna and Tamoguna are the three gunas or attributes which are born out of Prakriti or Maya. The Vinasarahita Jiva, a Jiva who is eternal, when he is in the body, these three gunas bind him. Sattvam Rajastama iti gunaha prakriti sambhavaha. In Prakriti, three gunas are there. What are the three gunas? Sattva gunam, Rajogunam and Tamogunam. They are transmitted to the Jiva Rasis, especially they are transmitted to even human beings. Therefore, the human being is also having Sattva Gunam, Rajogunam and Tamogunam. Dehe Dehinam Avyayam. Dehi means Ahankara Pradana Jivi. So, these three gunas are spread in different levels in Ahankara Pradana Jivi. In ego dominated personality. nibadnanti. They bind the person in different levels. So, we'll proceed to sloka number 6. Tatra sattvam nirmalatvat prakasamanamayam sukha sangena badnati jnana sangena chanagha. Tatra anagha, O sinless Arjuna. Tatra, these three gunas, these three attributes, sattvam nirmalatvat prakasham. The sattva guna is not having any contamination. It is not having any kind of malam. Prakashakam, it is the one which gives you the knowledge. Anamayam, Anamaya means it will not have any modification. Vikara rahitam. Sukha sangena, with happy alignment, with happy attachment, with sukha sangatyam. Jnana sangena, with love for jnanam. Badnati, it will bind the human beings. So the sloka says even sattva guna or learning will also bind a person. He anaga, tatra anamayam prakasham sattvam nirmalatvat atmanam sukha sangena jnana sangena cha badnati. He sinless Arjuna. These three gunas, out of these three gunas, sattva guna is, very pure. It doesn't have any impurity. It gives you knowledge. And it is not subject to any modifications. It is Suddham, Nirmalam. But because of Sukha Sangatyam and Jnanabhimanam, because of its Sangatvam with Sukham and Abhimanam for Jnanam, that means it is attached with happiness, and it will have inclination to learning. It will bind a person. So, Lakshanam and Bandha Prakara are mentioned from sloka 6 up to 9. So, we are seeing how Sattva Guna Pradhanam is binding a person, how Rajogunam is binding a person, how Tamogunam is binding a person. So, this is what we are studying in each sloka. In this sloka 6, Paramatma is mentioning even Sattva Guna will bind a person. So, Sattva Guna will bind a person means it will bind what? Will it bind Ahankara or Sakshi? That is the question. Sakshi is Gunatitam. Sakshi is beyond attributes. So, nothing can bind Sakshi. Only Ahankaram can be bounded. The Ahankara of the human being will be bound by these three gunas. Tatra Sattvam Nirmalatvat. Sattva means Sattva Guna Pradhanam. If a person is predominantly Sattvic in nature, Nirmalatvat, his mind will be pure and it will not have any kind of impurity. Such a state is called Suddha Sattvam or Nirmala Sattvam. Nirmala Sattvam means what? When the mind is predominantly Sattvic in nature, the other three attributes will not contaminate this. Rajogunam or tamogunam will not contaminate this. He is ever sattvic in nature. He will not become rajoguna or tamoguna pradhana. So this is called pure mind or nirmala sattvam. If the mind is contaminated by rajogunam or tamogunam, it is called malina sattvam. In case of sattvaguna pradhana, it is nirmala sattvam. Prakasham, sattvaguna pradhana person is having that pure mind. There is no impurity. It is always bright. Tamogunam is for laziness and ignorance and darkness. Therefore, if Sattvaguna is being contaminated by Tamoguna, the mind will be perturbed. Just like water is contaminated by dirt, it will be very dirty to look also. If Tamoguna influences Sattvaguna, mind cannot be quiet. Whereas if Tamoguna is not influencing, if mind is free from Tamoguna, then mind will be bright and brilliant. It is like a pure water, crystal clear water. So in his thinking, there is a clarity. He will have quiet attitude. Therefore, it is prakashakam. It can think clearly. Therefore, we often say that he is a bright boy. Bright means his thinking is clear. He is not ambiguous. He is very clear in his mind. So this is about sattvic nature. Suppose the Rajoguna is influencing the sattvic nature, then such a person will not sit quiet. He wants to do some work or other. He always wants to run around. He will not sit quietly in a place and look for knowledge, because his mind will be outwards. So he will not have patience. He will not have tolerance. His mind is always perturbed. Anamayam. If Rajoguna doesn't influence, then Sattvaguna becomes Anamayam, Prakasatmakam. Prakasatmakam, if it is not influenced by Tamoguna. Anamayam, if it is not influenced by Rajoguna. Anamayam means it is not having any kind of pressure, any kind of perturbance, any kind of wavering attitude, impatience. It will be always peaceful and without any turbulence. Mind is very quiet. For a person whose mind is not influenced by Rajoguna, he will have peace and quiet mind. Similarly, if it is not influenced by Tamoguna, he will have a bright and brilliant mind. His mind will have a clear thinking. Lakshanam prakasatmakam. Mind is bright and brilliant. So if the mind is bright and brilliant, how can you say that it will bind a person? Sattvaguna can bind a person with sukha sangha. Sukha sangha means this person, he cannot tolerate too many people. He cannot tolerate crowds. He cannot tolerate sounds. He wants always a peaceful atmosphere and a solitary atmosphere. So he always wants to be alone. So he avoids crowds. He avoids meeting people. He avoids sounds and the sound pollution. So this is how he is binded by sattva gunam. So he doesn't want to run around, or he is not a go-getter. He is always within himself. So this is how sattva guna will bind a person. Jnana sangena cha anagha. When sattva guna is predominant, a person will have jnana trushta. He wants to learn more and more. So his mind will be inwards. A rajasika mind will be always into work. Therefore, a sattvaguna pradhana person always wants to learn more and more. More he learns, he understands, more is there to learn. So like that, his quest is never quenched. His thirst is never quenched. His thirst is never fulfilled. So here the knowledge is not Atma Jnanam. This is the local knowledge we are talking here. Laukika Vidya. So he will have the samsara difficulties. He wants to know more and more scientific discoveries. So the entire life he toils to learn more and more. This is how even the knowledge will bind him. Krishna Paramatma addresses Arjuna as Anagha. He wants Arjuna to know that he has got Suddha Antakarna, because he wanted to know Atma Jnanam. If you are interested in Atma Jnanam, that means you are sattvic in nature. He said, Sishyasteham sadimam tvam prapannam. So, that means he is Sattvaguna Pradhana. In this very sloka, the very first line talks about Sattva Lakshanam. Second line talks about Bandhana Prakaram. So, Lakshanam is Prakasatmakam. Sattva Lakshanam is Prakasatmakam. That is bright. Mind will be bright and brilliant. Bandhana Prakaram. Jnana Sangam. Jnana Trishna will be there. It will bind a person. This is all about Sattva Guna. Sattva Guna will bind a person. Now we'll see Rajo Gunam. Rajo Ragatmakam Vidhi Trishna Sanga Samudbhavam Tanni Badnati Kaunteya Karma Sangena Dehinam. He Kaunteya, he Kunti Putra, Ragatmakam Rajaha. Rajoguna will be more Ragatmakam. Ragatmakam means it will have attachment towards many things. You want to achieve many things like that. Trishna Sanga Samudbhavam. It will, create more desires. It is born out of desire. Vidhi, may you know. Tat means that very Rajoguna, it will bind the Jivatma karma sangena with karma. Nibadnati. Nibadnati means it will bind a person. He Kaunteya Ragatmakam Rajaha Trishna Sanga Samudbhavam Vidhi. tat dehinam karma sangena nibadnati. O Arjuna, this Rajoguna will be full of ragam. It will have lot of attachment towards the work. Rajogunam is full of desires, and it will create a lot of desires, so that you are into work. So when you are having desires, you have to work for it to achieve that, to fulfill that desire. So Rajoguna will prompt you to do work, will push you into the work. So the result is sangatyam with karma, because you want to have the result of your work. You are binded. When you are doing a work, naturally you expect something. You want to achieve good result. So you are binded by that result. So this is how Rajo Ragatmakam Vidhi. Rajoguna is full of emotions, attachments. Rajasika nature will make a person outward. So he will have attachment to his people around, to his surroundings, to his house, everything, whatever is within his vicinity, he will have attachment. He is totally different from Sattvaguna Pradhana person. If Sattvaguna Pradhana is Nivrutti Pradhana, he is more detached. Rajoguna Pradhana person is Pravrutti Pradhana. He is more into the mundane things, he is more into attachment, more into work, like that. If Sattvaguna Pradhana person wants solitude, he wants loneliness, Rajoguna Pradhana person cannot tolerate loneliness. He wants always people around him. So you cannot keep a person alone in a single room if he is Rajoguna Pradhana. He cannot sit for a minute alone. He always wants to communicate, to be outward. He is a go-getter. Because he is a go-getter, he always flocks with people. So, we are not saying which is good, which is bad here. We are only talking the very lakshana, how these people behave. Both Sattvagunam will bind the person and Rajogunam also will bind the person. A Rajoguna person, a person who is dominant with Rajoguna cannot sleep alone. If he sleeps alone, he will keep a pillow by his side. So, that is how his mentality is. In both these persons, the Sangatvam is there. They are always binded. Sattvaguna Pradhana person is binded by the knowledge, binded by the attitude of learning more and more. Karma Pradhana person is binded by work, people and surroundings. Trishna Sanga Samudbhavam. Trishna means he is having a lot of desire to do things. So he is outwards. He wants to have bondage with people, with surroundings. He is always a go-getter. He wants more parties and celebrations and things like that. So this he can convert it as sakama karma or nishkama karma. If he is doing sakama karma, then he will be having all his accomplishments to fulfill his desire. Nishkama karma, if he is doing like karma yogam, pancha mahayajnas, then he can have chitta suddhi and chitta visalata. So this rajogunam is not a bad thing. It depends on how you use it. Sattva-guna pradhana is having aparigraham. That means he doesn't want to take anything. He wants to get rid of things which he has for years. A Rajoguna pradhana wants to accumulate things. He gathers things. Samudbhavam means it is the origin. What is the origin? For desire, for bondage, Rajogunam is the origin. He always wants to mop up things. He wants to have more things. He will have bondage towards things he desires. If he gets that thing, then he will have more desires. So this is how the Rajogunam provocates a person to do more and more things. Lakshanam is Ragatmakam. It will have a binding nature. How a Rajogunam will bind a person? Tat nibadnati. Rajoguna also will bind a person. Dehinam karma sangena. It binds a person by karma, by an inclination to do action. This is a bondage. You cannot sit idle. Then you may wonder, how can a person be without any work? That is true. Doing a work for Chitta Suddhi is different. Even for Karma Yoga, you have to do work. That is Pancha Mahayajnas, Para Upakara Karma you have to do, which is required for Jnana Yogyata. For Rajoguna Pradhana, it is not his aim to get Jnana Yogyata. He is simply into work. His nature is to do work. He cannot sit idle. That is the thing. He will not have any target. He will not do para upakara karma and then he wants to have chitta suddhi. That kind of attitude is not there. He wants to be simply in some work or other. So that's how karma will bind him. So the lakshanam for Rajogunam is ragatmakam. It binds a person with karma. Bandhana prakara. Bandhana prakara means karma sangam. Karma sangam means he has got a strong attitude towards work. If he doesn't do any work, he will go mad. So that is the attitude. Then the third attitude is tamogunam. We'll see in the sloka number 8. Tamastvajnanadam vidhi mohanam sarvadehinam pramaadalasya nidrabhihi tannibadnati bharata. He Bharata, he Bharata Vamsa, O Arjuna, sarvadehinam, those who are having abhimana for deham, mohanam, the delusion, tamahatu ajnanajam, it is born out of tamoguna. The delusion which is born out of tamoguna will influence these people. Ajnanajam, it is born out of ignorance. Vidhi, may you know. Tat, that very tamoguna, dehinam, Jivatma, it will make Jivatma Pramada Alasya Nidrabihi. It will make a person reckless, lazy, and it will bind him. Nibadnati. Nibadnati means it will bind him. He Bharata, Tamahatu Sarvadehinam Mohanam Ajnanajam Vidhi. Tat Dehinam Pramada Alasya Nidrabihi Nibadnati. O Arjuna, those who are having Dehabhimana, those who are having Abhimana for Deham, those who love their body, mind, sense complex, this Tamoguna will bind them. It will make them delude. This delusion is born out of ignorance. Because of Tamoguna, a person will be reckless and is more into sleeping nature. He is more sleepy in nature and he is more passive. He is not active. Tamahatu ajnanajam viddhi. So Tamoguna is born out of ajnana. Prakriti is having trigunas. So out of trigunas, the sattva, rajas, tamogunas. So tamoguna is also from Prakriti. So it will make a person sleep. So a tamoguna person, if a person is tamoguna dominated, he will not learn, he will not do any work, he will be wasting his janma. So we will not have any clear idea. So that is how he will be totally in idle nature. Mohanam sarvadehinam. Sarvadehinam means the tamoguna, those whoever is having tamoguna dominant nature. Mohanam means delusion. Delusion will create a confusion. They cannot have any target. They don't want to do anything. They don't want to achieve anything in life. They simply lead their life without any target, without any ambition. So they don't have any priority at all. They simply live. Lakshanam mohanatmakam. There is no clarity in their thinking. So this is the nature. Pramada alasya nidrabihi tanni badnati. Pramada means negligence. So they simply waste their human birth. Labdva kadanchit narajanma durlabam. Our Shastra says narajanma is very, very rare. So these people, they simply waste their life. So the Lakshanam is mohanatmakam, not having any clarity in their thinking. Bandhana prakara, pramada sangam. They are having bondage towards negligence, laziness, and sleeping attitude. So with this, we have completed Sloka 5 to 8. We will learn more in the next class. Om Tat Sat Sarvam Sri Krishna Arpanamast. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.